Go live. All right, webinar is now live. So let's
hundreds of people joining in.
Yeah, let's try and keep it PC there, Chip. You don't know whose mom is going to be on this call. It's
That's
not,
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Best behavior.
Absolutely. We got a couple people rolling in. This is fantastic. We'll wait just a minute or two here. Thank you.
I'm glad you're not wearing a suit, Craig. It would have embarrassed me if you were looking, with your suit and tie on. So I'm feeling comfortable here now.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure. I'm glad I'm not wearing a suit as well. I was cheering with you guys that I have my in-person client meeting today. Means I couldn't wear slippers and pajama bottoms. It's always been a button down on what shows for Zoom. Now I got to be actually dressed up.
Yeah.
All right.
So you are back at your office?
I am.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can believe it, that's not just painted on my wall.
Yeah. I thought maybe you had a drop cloth or something on those are your sheets off your bed.
Curtains,
No.
sheets.
Yeah, not convinced that my wife would quite love that so much, but
no.
Maybe. Doesn't match our decor in the bedroom. So Sage Rutty Modern is what they call it, I think. All right, we're right at 12:30. So thank you everyone for joining us. Very excited today for this special edition of the Tele. As you may have noticed, I have a couple special guests with us today. I'll start with a quick introduction, and then I'll try and do as little talking as possible so you can hear from the experts on their specialty. I'll start with Lori Kozak. So she's the president of Niagara National, a proudly independent insurance company. She's been doing it for the past, there's 25 agents there. Lori's been doing this for the past 39 years. And if you can believe it, Niagara National has been doing it for 70. They just celebrated their 70th year in business. So that's pretty fantastic. So Lori, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Chip Stroh, our other guest today, is from Brown & Brown. He had to be pulled directly off the golf course for this meeting. So thank you for your time today. As I mentioned, he's at Brown & Brown. He specializes in the personal insurance side of things, which is perfect for today. And he shared with me that his passion is really finding the right fit of insurance for people, which I think is wildly important, always been arguably becoming even more important in today's world. So thank you both for joining me today. I'm really excited to have you on here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we'll dive right in, just do some questions and let you guys respond here. For everyone that's tuning in, if you have individual questions, if you just want to toss something out there, feel free to use the Q&A button. Happy to take whatever questions you have coming through. If you do have anything, my crazy Uncle Joe has this very specific situation where he lost 2 toes, but kept the other ones. What's the scenario here? We might just have to push you offline, but please feel free to submit your questions and we'll take those at the end. Chip, to start things off, I'll start with you.
Mm-hmm.
For many people, insurance can feel a bit like a different language. What do you think is probably the most important thing for just the average person to know? What do you think would be valuable for our average listener to hear?
I think it's important for them to realize what they are protecting with their insurance. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they do a call in, an 800 number, they're going on somebody who's just giving them a policy. I think they need to be very careful to make sure that what they're getting actually protects the assets that they have. So they want a professional to look at what they have, compare that with, you own a house, you own this, you have these factors in your life that could create problems. So let's make sure we've got the right liability protection that's going to protect everything that you have. I've said it before, with Sage Rutty does a phenomenal job of building wealth for you. One bad insurance loss with the wrong protection can kill it all.
Yeah, it's so true. Laura, do you want to build on that? Anything else?
Yeah, I would agree with Chip, definitely, that look at your assets and look at what you have not only today, but what you might have down the road. A lot of people think that just because they just got married, don't have a family, that they're set and they'll go online and find the most affordable coverage, but it's not really properly protecting them, their current assets. And then as things change, you really need to review it often and take a look at what you gained. And, so many people, as they're on this Tele right now, they obviously care about their assets because they're with Sage Rutty. So find an agent that will sit down and talk to you and have options, not just a single captive agent that has one company, they write you and you never hear from them again. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah. Yeah. Great points. And embarrassingly, I was definitely had fallen into the situation of, didn't have a family yet. And my insurance policy was set up because it was the only one that would write for me when I was a 16-year-old getting a car. Like it's, a little embarrassing how long I held on to them, realizing like, oh, that's not who Craig is at all nowadays. All right. Second question, and Lori, we'll start with you on this one. What's the most common or most concerning mistake that you see people making?
I would definitely say that most people think that the lower the limits of coverage mean a less expensive policy, which is not always true. Usually, if you purchase higher limits, it puts you into a higher preferred tier of a carrier. And bundling your coverage with your home, your auto, and umbrella is so important. And a lot of people think if they don't have a pool or a dog, that they really don't need an umbrella policy. And it's funny, the more coverage you buy and the better limits, you get into a better tier, and the pricing is actually a lot better than most people's monoline policies. So I think that is a big misconception.
Interesting. Chip, what are you seeing? What other mistakes are popping up out there?
I think Lori touched on the one thing is that people are not familiar with what an excess liability or umbrella policy can do for them and how reasonably priced they are. So they're going on just the liability they have on their home or their auto, not realizing that you now own a $400,000 house and you've got $300,000 of liability coverage on your house. If something tragic, and again, they are accidents, they are tragedies, but if something does happen and you're involved in a lawsuit that's going to cost you $700,000 or $800,000, they're going to get that extra money out of someplace. And if it's not on your insurance policy, you better be prepared to write a check or be paying for it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, that's a little scary.
Well, I don't mean to be that scary about it, but things happen. I mean,
you need to think about usually the cost of an umbrella and excess lines, and excess liability policy is about an hour with an attorney. So, to buy the coverage, you're actually kind of already setting yourself up that you've got defense and you've already paid for it, at least for, that kind of price range.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I'm sure my attorney clients will not appreciate you saying that, but
I doubt it would only be 1 hour, but still.
yeah, no, it's good. Interesting stuff. How often, Chip, how often should somebody be reviewing this sort of stuff? So if you've been happy with your insurance, what's the cadence you should be looking at it?
Yeah, I would say that probably every 3 years you should take a really good look at it unless something has changed. If you got married, if you bought a third car, if you bought a second house, or something, you had a child, you might want to look at it a little more frequently. But I would say on a 3-year rotation would probably be a reasonable length of time. Insurance rates change. The company you're with could have had some increases, and maybe a time to find another carrier that can provide better package coverage for a better price. So, every 3 years, 4 years is probably I think a good, unless you see again something tremendously, you get your renewal and you notice it's up 20%. It's probably time to take a look.
Yeah. Lori, would you agree with that?
I would also just ask your agent that if there's any new enhancements or endorsements that might pop up within the next year or so, to let you know. All they need to do is just let you know that there's a new coverage out there that's very popular and what it covers, and give you the options, and just make sure that they're watching it for you as well. Most agents will take a look on renewal, but I would agree you don't have to dig in really deep unless you add an addition, have a child or make any real big changes, purchase another property, things like that.
Got it. So Lori, what are like your favorite situations, or what at the end of the day do you feel like, I really did good, or this is why I'm in the business?
I would definitely say when something happens to a client and they just don't know what to do, and they call, and you can walk them through it, give them some peace of mind, make them feel better about it, educate a little bit more about things that they might have forgotten when you first talked, when you first set the clients up. And definitely just have that conversation, because not everybody needs the same coverage, and we're all different individuals, and we all have different monetary constraints and different risk tolerance. So, someone might want a $2,500 deductible, another person might want 500. So having that conversation and not being rushed off the phone or just going online, I think that's really helpful.
Yeah. Same question, Chip. What are like the best days for you?
I'd say best days are when you find that person that you can really help out, whether it be you realize that the coverage they have for their current life situation is not appropriate, and you're able to find something that works really well for them at a competitive price. Use yourself as an example. As you mentioned, you at 16 you got your insurance in one manner. At 25, life is a very different place. So to help somebody like that who is now in that new position, and you're able to get them up to date, up to what their current status in the insurance world should be. The high-end client that never knew that what an umbrella was. It was never introduced to an umbrella, didn't understand, and realizes how important it is for them to have that coverage on there. And you've, as Lori said, you've educated them so they understand the reason for it, and they're much more comfortable to say, yeah, this is important. This is something I need to protect my family.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good stuff. I always think that it's funny. So I'll have clients come in and complain about insurance sometimes, and
Complain? Come on. No, nobody complains about insurance.
We find insurance very sexy, but some people don't,
Well, if you're able to share that with the world and convince everyone of that'd be great. But no, I feel like I'll sit down with people and they'll say, oh my God, I feel like I'm just flushing money down the toilet. And I always have to remind people that's what you want to have happen, right? To utilize a life insurance policy means somebody died, right? To utilize it, your personal liability insurance is something that's probably had to happen. Ideally you want to, cover your butt, and make sure that all of the good things can happen without risk of, ending up destitute or moving into your parents' basement or something like that. So yeah, I think it's always just a funny conversation of, oh, I feel like I'm wasting money. Well, I hope so. I hope that it's a waste of money, that you don't end up needing it. But Lord help you if you do need it, you want to have the right stuff there.
Well, that's an important point. Also, I think that what you get with independent agents is that security that you are not wasting your money. Yes, if you don't utilize it, it may feel like that, but to have somebody that looks it over and can find what is the appropriate coverage for you, so you're paying the right amount for the right coverage. You can be insurance poor. I mean, you can have more coverage than is necessary, and that's where a good agent will try to find. There's inherent risk to everything, but to find the right balance of what am I paying for and what am I getting for it.
Yeah. You mentioned a good agent. Do you guys know anybody?
I got a couple in mind.
Couple.
Perfect. As we're closing in on time here, I'd love if you could both just take a minute and let us know if somebody wanted to reach out to you, or just any closing thoughts before we sign off here. I know 15 minutes goes by very fast. Chip, do you want to start us out, and then we'll let Lori close?
Sure. As Craig said, I'm with Brown & Brown in Rochester, New York. If you do want to reach out to me, at my direct lines, 585-697-1403. Emails chip.strowe, STROWE, at bbrochester.com. we are independent agents. We work with a lot of different carriers. So as Lori mentioned earlier, we can find the carrier that best fits you instead of a single-minded carrier that has to fit you into whatever they have available. So.
Great.
Yeah, and I'll toss up both of your contact informations on the website with the video too. So if anyone, if you're trying to jot it down quickly, it is available on the Stage Ready 401k website if you're looking for that.
Excellent.
But yeah, Lori, I'll hand it over to you. And I did see an email came through, so a question came through, so we'll tackle that after your comments. Yeah.
Okay, you can reach my office at niagaranational.com. I'm at Lori Kozuch, LKOZUCH at niagaranational.com. And our number is 716-684-6000. We've got a staff of 25, so we've got a lot of insurance professionals to help you out. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thank you both for being on. I will I'll toss this question out there. Lori, if you want to take first swing at it. So the question that came through is, I already have an umbrella policy. I will retire soon and I'm considering freelance work. Does my umbrella cover professional activities or do I need something else?
That's a very good question. There's two types of umbrellas. So your personal umbrella would cover all of your personal underlying activities. So it would be your auto, anything that happens with your home. Today's the Masters starts, so a stray golf swing would be covered, things like that. If you're going to be freelancing and charging for your work, you would need to get underlying general liability coverage to cover yourself. And then a commercial umbrella would have to go over that because that's professional use. Many homeowners policies would cover some, on the side kind of photography work or whatever the freelancing might be. So I would check that out with your agent and see if that's something that might be covered under your umbrella as well.
Awesome. Thank you for taking that. We'll wait a second to see if there's any other ones, but I have another question while we're hanging out here. Chip, is there a point where you start seeing that insurance need starts backing off? So I can picture in life a lot of times, things grow and you end up needing more. Is there a point that you end up needing less insurance or it starts to decline?
There can be, yeah. I mean, I know we've got some of our clients that have started to move from the big house that they raised their kids in. They've downsized. They've gotten rid of a lot of their valuable items, whether it be jewelry, silverware, disperse that to the kids so that the kids can enjoy it prior to their demise when they're going to get it anyway. And that at that time, as they've done that, perhaps you don't need the same amount of coverage that you have. If you've gotten older, and you may not need as much umbrella coverage anymore because you're not out, you've stopped driving, you stopped going out and doing things. So maybe if you were in that especially that high net worth where you needed a big umbrella and you started to spread your things out within your family, you might be able to pull back on that umbrella coverage as well.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep fielding them at you while we have some time here. Lori, and this might be a silly question, but with a lot of people shifting toward more virtual work, have you seen our auto insurance policies getting more affordable? Are you seeing that miles are dropping, and does that change coverage or spark a reason to review things?
That is a reason to review and just, let your agent know of your work situation. Although people are not really driving to and from work like they used to, and many people are going to remain remote, that does change some of the things you might need in your home. If you've set up offices, if you have a lot more computer equipment, things like that. So you want to make sure that's all properly covered. And yes, your to and from work or your mileage could change drastically. So at least talk to your agent, let them know, and they can adjust things. And it might even make it more affordable to have some coverage that you've wanted in the past and couldn't get before.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Chip, another random question for you as they're just coming off the top of my head.
It scares me, Craig.
It scares me too, Chip. It really does. And then I think they're going to be on a gradual decline here, so they
Okay.
might not be as great of questions. But I've noticed, especially in the Rochester market, housing prices have been just skyrocketing. Does that change the level of insurance that you're going to need, or with lumber prices going up, does that change what like replacement coverage or dollar value would need on a house if you're seeing that prices are taking off?
It does dramatically, actually, right now. What many of the policies that we write, and I'm sure Lori is the same way, they have, if you write a replacement cost policy, it has a built-in cushion of 25 or 50%. So if values to replace do increase, there's some wiggle room in there. Again, you've got a policy that's written for $400,000, but the carrier is writing it with a 25% wiggle room or 50%, which means if you had a house burned to the ground, they'd pay up to $500,000 or even $600,000 to replace that house. But it is also the factor of when your replacement, or excuse me, when your renewal comes in and you've noticed the premium has gone up and the value of your house just went from 400 to 450,000. The carriers are looking at those prices and those lumber prices and realizing that the cost to rebuild your house has increased dramatically. So that's why you will see the replacement value on your policy increase at a renewal, which of course will also increase the premium. So people don't realize that that's the case, but when you start looking at the cost of lumber, the cost of drywall, it's pretty dramatic how it's changed.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. No kidding. It's pretty expensive. All right. I will stop picking your brains for today. Again, I really appreciate Chip and Lori. Thank you both for being on. This was really helpful. As you've kind of proven, insurance is, as you start peeling back the onion, there's just so much more to it. So I really appreciate it. Again, your contact information will be up on the website. I'm sure that the people today have some other questions for you, but just might be a little camera shy or maybe just a little more personalized. So hopefully they'll reach out to you directly. Thank you again. I look forward to working with both of you in the future.
Thank you. We're happy to help. Thanks.
Happy to help, and our pleasure. And thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.